Hey guys, my name is Timio, and welcome to another episode of Sunday, or I guess now Monday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. The first question for today comes from Josh, and it is, what do you think about an operator in Rainbow Six Siege on attack or defense that could disguise themselves as the enemy? I'm gonna go with a pretty big no on this one, because while I know that there are people out there that like the idea of having a spy operator, because conceptually it does sound pretty cool. You infiltrate into the enemy team's base, you disguise yourself as one of the defensive operators, make your way into the objective room, and while everyone is looking the other way, you just mow down the enemy team and get a multi-kill and pretty much win the round for your team. Like, conceptually, a moment like that would be really badass, but it also sounds like this guy would be a nightmare to fight against, and I don't think it would be a good thing for Rainbow Six Siege. First of all, this guy would have a huge advantage over everyone that he comes across, and it's basically a guaranteed kill as long as he's not doing anything suspicious. If he makes his way into the building away from all of his other teammates, so that doesn't give him away, any defender that comes across this guy isn't gonna just flat out start to shoot at him, because of course that would be the dumb thing to do. Unless the enemy has a lot of teamwork and they know where every single one of their players are at all times, which isn't gonna happen in a PUBG game, if you come across anyone as a spy guy, they're probably not gonna start shooting at you, because why would you all of a sudden assume to shoot at a teammates? You can wait for them to look away, blast them in the face, or just start shooting immediately, because that will give you that slight advantage because you're the one that shoots first. You shoot first in Rainbow Six Siege, there's a high probability that you're gonna win that firefight. Even if your cover is blown and the enemy knows that you are the spy, it still gives you that advantage. I mean, if you kill someone, they call out to your teammates, hey, watch out for the spy, you make your way towards the objective and they're always gonna be hesitant. Oh, is that a teammate? Is that an enemy? Like, I don't wanna shoot at a teammate and randomly kill them. They're gonna wait for you to fire, and if they're having to wait for you to fire, then of course you're gonna have the advantage once again. And so it's for this very reason why I wouldn't want to see this guy added into Rainbow Six Siege, because I just think it would be a nightmare to fight against this guy. It just wouldn't be a fun gameplay experience. Not only that, but if you thought that team killing was bad now, imagine what it would be like when people have an excuse to kill you. It's like, oh, sorry, I thought that you were the spy. And they may have actually thought that you were the spy. They may not have been just trying to troll you, but if you thought team killing was bad now, I can only imagine that it would just be abysmal if they actually added someone like this on in. The reason why the spy works in something like Team Fortress 2 is that you can't hurt teammates. You can just kind of shoot at them to figure out if it is the enemy and then go on your way. You can't really do that in Rainbow Six Siege because, of course, there is team killing. You can do damage to your teammates, and so I think that this would open up a whole can of worms that the community wouldn't really be on board with. And so I know that there are people out there that like this concept, at least personally, and for these reasons, I would not want to have this guy in Rainbow Six Siege. The next question comes from Liam, and it is, I just bought the Battlefield 1 Deluxe Edition, and I was wondering if it was worth buying Premium for the extra $60. For the most part, I would say no. If you're someone who loves the Battlefield franchise, you know that Battlefield 1 is going to be your game for the next 1 to 2 years. You're positive without a doubt that you are going to love this game and you're going to be playing it for a really long time, then absolutely, that is probably worth doing right now. But for everyone else, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You don't really get anything for Premium at the beginning. At least I don't think that you do. And the only incentive for buying Premium is that later down the road, you are going to be getting these more content, but we don't know what that content is right now. There's a lot of variables that can come into play for why this just wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. First of all, you don't even know if you're going to be playing Battlefield in the next couple of months. You may enjoy it for a couple of weeks, kind of get burnt out on it, and then move on over to other games. Maybe another game comes out that you're obsessed with, and you don't really have any desire to play Battlefield anymore, and now you're regretting that $50 for Premium. Maybe life intervenes, and you just simply don't have time for it. You thought that, oh yeah, I've got all this game time, but maybe something happens in your life and you just don't have time for it anymore. And once again, you just kind of put money into EA's pocket that you're not getting any worth out of. It could also have the same problem that Battlefield Hardline did on PC, where no one's playing anymore. When Battlefield Hardline's first DLC released for Premium, there was like 2 servers running. It was horrible, and it just wasn't worth the money because there wasn't enough people to play that new content. I don't think that's going to be the case for Battlefield 1. Some of you are like, oh, really? Is there something that you're not telling us? No, I think that Battlefield 1 has a lot of staying power. I'm absolutely obsessed with it right now. But we don't know what the future has to hold for us. I mean, it could just die out. I don't think that's true, but it's just kind of another reason why you shouldn't give them money for a product that isn't here yet. And so my recommendation is to wait for the first paid DLC and then make your decision. Are you still loving Battlefield 1? Do you think that the content that is provided in that first DLC is worth it? Then go for it. At the end of the day, this is your money. You can do whatever you want with it, but that is at least the way that I would handle buying Premium. The next question comes from Brandon, and it is, do you think that they will ever implement an objective/spawn voting list in casual like they have in ranked? I might be in the minority here, but I wouldn't want Ubisoft to make this change to casual in Rainbow Six Siege. For as much as I like ranked, and I've been playing it a lot more lately, one of the things that has always irritated me about this game mode is that you're always playing around the same objectives. If there's a basement on a map, usually you're playing around that objective all the time. Your team picks basement, the enemy teams pick basement. If no one wins on defense, then you're constantly picking that because that is the best spawn. And while it makes sense in ranked, like you want to have this type of system in place because if it is a random spawn and the defenders get a poor one, that's going to put them at a big disadvantage. Like it makes sense for that competitive game mode. But for casual, I like the fact that it can be anywhere on the map because it adds in that variety. Sure, that spawn that we just got may not be all that advantageous on defense. We're probably not going to win because of it. But if we do come out on top, it just makes it all that more interesting. And so it's for this very reason why I wouldn't want them to change casual. And if they ever did make a change, I think one of the best ways of doing it is just to let the defenders know where they're spawning so that they can select their operators. Sometimes I pick Bandit where it doesn't even make sense to have him because the spawn was somewhere where I wasn't expecting it to be. And some people would even argue that that's a good thing. That's also another nice aspect about casual is that you have to work around it because you don't have the optimal pick. You don't have the best class for that situation. And so maybe we shouldn't even change that. And so once again, I could be in the minority here. Maybe you guys will completely disagree with me on this one and you think that they should be exactly the same between the 2 game modes. You should have this functionality. But for me personally, I like that it adds in more flavor. I like that it makes things more interesting and I wouldn't want to see any changes there. The next question comes from Connor and it is, do you think that the rifles in Battlefield 1 are underpowered while the shotguns are almost overpowered? I don't think so. Shotguns during the beta were really good. Like I'll give you that. During the beta, the shotguns were impressive. But now that I've got my hands on the full game, they're amazing. Like don't get me wrong, they're still very good. But that doesn't really take away from all of the other weapons in the game. I think that DICE has done a really good job, at least for the most part, in the weapon balance department, because if you're using a designated marksman rifle and you're using it properly, you're going to succeed. If you're using a submachine gun and you're using that properly, you're also going to be very successful. I'm still a little worried about the light machine guns. I've had more success with them now that the game is out compared to the beta. I think that they're a lot better than during the beta, but I find them to be lackluster compared to the other classes. At the end of the day, though, it's probably too early to tell. The game just released. We're gonna need to spend tens upon tens of hours with all the guns to really get a good grasp of which ones are good and which ones are underpowered. And at least right now, my gut reaction and my first impressions of the shotguns is that they're in a good spot. They're amazing if you're able to close the gap and work around them, but you have to play smart. You have to play it properly. You have to be on the right map for them. And I think in general, DICE has done at least a reasonably good job with the weapon balance, but of course, only time will tell. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. Apologies for this video being one day late. There was an embargo that just released yesterday for Battlefield 1, and I wanted to get that out there as soon as possible, so I delayed a Mailbox by one day. Hopefully you can forgive me on that. Let me know what you thought about what we discussed in today's video, though. Do you love the idea of having a spy operator in Rainbow Six Siege? Do you think it's the worst thing ever? Do you think that shotguns are overpowered in Battlefield 1 during your 10-hour trial? Let me know down below. As always, if you would like to submit your own question for an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below once again, or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one, and take it easy.